Okay, everyone, welcome to another week's episode of the Wolf Pack. We got Dillard back, and he's finished his comic book, and he's getting ready to he's getting ready to release it, or he has released it. And I wanted to have him back on so he could share it with everyone. And once I get the link, I'm going to post it up here in things so everybody can look at it. So go ahead, Dillard.
Oh, hey, how's it going? Yeah, I finished it a while ago. I finished it at the end of 2018, but I just got copies of it, so show it there. Clowns of the Apocalypse. This is episode 0. It's like an epilogue. Episode 1 I'm working on right now, and I hope to have it out pretty soon. I'm going to send you a copy as soon as this is done. I should have gotten you a copy before the stream, but you know,
That
I
would
just got them
help.
yeah, I got them like 2 days ago, so.
Oh, fuck, that's cool, dude. So
Yeah,
how long did it take for them to publish it then?
Printing took like a week or two. They took their time. They probably have a bunch. I use like an independent online people, Gecko Publishing or Comics Well. I forget exactly their name, but Gecko Publishing anyway. They pretty much, you send them the files and they'll print it out for you, and you order copies. But yeah, it's nice. It's a standard comic book size.
Yeah, well, it looks pretty good, man. I mean, did you go with, was the black and white cheaper? Or you just wanted to go with that because you like the aesthetics of it better?
Well, yeah, I like the black and white sort of look, like the your classic comic book is black and white it's got like the colored covers, and then black and white in the middle. I do have some colored pages in the front, but once you get into the story, I like it to be black and white, and
Yeah,
it's got that indie look. Anyone familiar with comics from like the 90s or like the 80s, like independent comics? They kind of has like it's cheap, just cheap black and white paper, pretty much. I mean, that's like that's the appeal of comics. You can just print them, or zines for that matter.
yeah, yeah. No, I remember all the old scenes back in the day when I was, I still got some old copies of Resistance. Well, actually, it was an old copy one of my brothers gave me, but I still have it. I used to have a couple of them, but unfortunately, last time I went to jail, I lost everything there. So, everybody out there in the chat, let us know how the sound sounds. I'm not sure. I just got this mic, so I'm not exactly sure how good it sounds. He says it sounds okay, so if it sounds good to everybody out there, then that's fine by me too. So, all right, that was just a question there for the fans. But yeah, so anyways, I put the description for it down so people, if they're interested in getting it, they can buy it and hand it out. Get you 100, 200 copies and hand it out at the fucking comic book store. Put it in there as like a outside, or in the thing as a free comic or whatever. You know what I mean? It's a good way to spread some red pills, as the kids like to say. A good way to spread propaganda. You could hand it out to the kids in school or whatever. If you're in high school or you're in college or whatever, you can say, hey, here you go, man. Check this out, man. It's pretty cool. Or just going out to a comic book store or one of those gaming shops like, I forgot what the one around here is called. But you know what I'm saying. They got them all over the goddamn country. They got plenty of places where people go play shit like Warhammer 40,000 and all the rest of that stuff. Go hand out some, man. I mean, shit. Maybe they'll get some red pills. People wake up to it. And if nothing else, it'll be cool to see it out there and more people talking about it. Maybe it'll make the news and you can be like, hey, look, see, these goddamn Jews got triggered. All right. I'm doing something right.
Well, it's pretty under the radar. I mean, it's kind of like a zombie story in effect. Like the clowns are, their identity is pretty nebulous or ambiguous. So I don't really define who they are, who the clowns are. But
I got you.
But it's society's being infiltrated by these clowns that came out of nowhere.
Okay, so I got what you're saying. So it's more of something that you can hand out to the normies, and they might actually be like, "Oh, okay, there you go. That's pretty cool."
I mean, I explicitly say in the back that I didn't know what Clowns of the Apocalypse was about until I joined the alt-right. So I almost it's almost like a, you want to go back and see what exactly like, is offensive about it. I mean, from like a normie perspective, like I've been to comic conventions and I've made comics before, and it's pretty much just a liberal, it's just a liberal convention. Like it's pretty consensus, liberal consensus oriented. Like nobody thinks outside, or nobody commits the crime of
Wrong thing.
crime. Yeah.
It makes sense. I've met some of these. I don't know. I was working at this one place once, and there was some like comic book nerd type kid that was like big into everything, all the comics, movies, probably had a bunch of the action figures, toys, whatever, right? So we were talking one day, and I can't remember what it was about, but he was talking about some people he knew that were Trump fans, and he was like, I remember it was the kneeling shit from a couple of years ago. So this is how long ago this was.
Yeah.
This kid was like, I had to unfriend a bunch of my family members on Facebook because they were so racist and shit, because they wouldn't understand why these players were kneeling during the anthem, and they think it's disrespect to America and and it's like, yeah, it is. It's not only disrespecting America, it's specifically disrespecting America as a white nation, and the way they think of it as being a white country, and that's the reason why they're doing it. They don't have no fucking respect for it. They never have. They look at it as a place where they were slaves, and they want their fucking reparations, which, if you've been watching the news lately, you've been seeing that that's been in the news. Democrats have been running hard on that, and they've been eating their own quite literally. We had Joe Biden just get thrown under the bus for saying he was able to work with segregationists back in his 60s and 70s. And, they're talking about how he's some kind of fucking closet KKK member or something. And it's like, really? I'm pretty sure Joe Biden is the one that made that famous speech about he can't wait to see the browning of America and how it's such a great fucking thing,
Yeah, he thinks it's a good thing that we're going to be replaced. He said that explicitly. Yeah. These places, they're pretty lockstep with that sort of thing. They're all part of the same group. They've drank the Kool-Aid. They've been indoctrinated. They've been in the same places. It's the only way to signal everybody's on the same page. Everybody's in the same the same group as far as like what you say and what the reality of the whole situation is. So slavery was the worst thing that ever happened, and it's pretty much confined to, when you say slavery, America and black slavery. That's the only slavery that ever happened. I thought at first you were talking about Paul kneeling, like he knew some like the whole kneeling thing on Twitter.
That was a while back. No, I was talking about the left, the way they fucking decided they were going to go after good old Joe because, he was clearly a racist and all this other shit, and it's like, it's one of those fucking idiotic things that
everything is white supremacy. The American flag is white supremacy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they gotta like they just tag white supremacy to the flag, which is representative of what the country. So everything's got to be white supremacy because that's what they're trying to stamp out. And
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when they say white supremacy, what they mean is white identity. Of course.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, there you got. What is it? Now I remember. So they got all of them running on reparations. That's a new big thing. And I had a friend of mine. She sent me this link to the Democrats' 2020 campaign agenda, and virtually everything had shit to do with SJW garbage or some kind of minority first rights. And I'm like, it's probably the reason why Trump ain't really worried about actually delivering on any of his promises, because it's like, well, you can vote for me. You can vote for the people they're talking about. They're going to make you pay reparations. Which one do you want? And, you got a choice between that two. I think the vast majority of white Americans are going to say, well, you know what? You didn't actually do anything, but at least you're not out there saying you're going to fucking tax me more and say I'm going to pay reparations when I'm already paying that shit through welfare taxes and everything else.
Yeah, at least you're not batshit insane. The divide is they've cleaved the American people into like two camps so like decisively that they fall on either side. So like it's the only choices. So like you're either a raving lunatic, SJW, or you're just a regular person.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, Trump is all his faults is still someone that talks about somewhat normal, decent things. I mean, he's still really not done anything, and he has, he's always.
He knows how to play the game. He's
yeah,
really
he knows.
good.
Yeah, he's good at talking and making people, convincing them that he's really working for him. And I mean, the economy is doing good, so obviously people are happy about that. And that's when it comes around to election time with the economy doing good. I don't see any way that he's going to lose unless we end up having a giant fucking recession, just fucking plummet, and gas goes up to $5 a gallon again. That's about the only way he's going to lose. And even then, like I said, what sane white person is going to vote for fucking Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders when they're talking like when Biden did his campaign ad, he's talking about in Charlottesville last year, Donald Trump said there was good people on both sides, and we got to stop this white supremacy now, and it's like, wow, okay. The only one that the Democrats might have been able to get in there that people would have thought was halfway decent was that Yang guy, and I'm pretty sure he already dropped out anyways, didn't he?
I don't know. I think he's still going, but he's off. Most people are off the Yang yacht.
The Yang gang bullshit.
The Yang gang, yeah.
I thought that shit was retarded from the get go, but I mean, hey, people, when they're, after Trump promised all this shit and didn't deliver, obviously people are just like grasping for straws. I mean, honestly, I hope David Duke runs again so he can at least be like, look, motherfucker, you need to start delivering on your promises about immigration.
Yeah,
otherwise you're going to lose because there'll be enough people voting for me to fuck your campaign up. And if you fucking start delivering some of this immigration shit, I'll drop out. And then that's what he can do. He can just threaten him like that because I think Trump's smart enough to know there'd be enough votes to sway that election for the fucking other side if he didn't fucking start delivering. That's something we could do as our group, as our people. We could say, encourage David Duke to run and be like, look, man, this is the strategy. Have you run, you're well known, people will vote for you. And then as soon as you get a few 100,000 delegates for the Republican Party or something, and you really make Trump start worrying about you running this third party one and fucking up the whole apple cart.
Yeah, well, that's the optics debate right there in a nutshell. David Duke is pretty much tainted as far as a public figure goes, so nobody's going to vote for him because of my optics and my racism.
Bullshit. Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, that's bullshit. Whoever says that's a fucking. I mean, David Duke may not be, but I mean, come on, man. He's so well known. There's plenty of people who vote for him as a protest Trump. Protest votes.
Yeah, I mean, he'll get a percentage, like small percentage. But they push so hard with the anti-white narrative and anti-white stuff so much so that just anyone that comes out like a Chinese man. That's the game. That was the game in 2017. Like Milo Yiannopoulos, this gay Jew comes out and he wants to co-opt the alt-right, and he puts out their alt-right talking points as far as sex realism, or like and he like knocks the transgenderism the whole thing. But like Yang comes out and he actually says white people of America, and he actually said like he touched the third rail, so to speak. And so the alt-right started pushing for him, and then he comes out and says something about hate. So he equated the white identitarian movement with hate, and that's how they just that's just how they take the steam out of the whole thing. I mean, with normies, they got it. They'll die before they're called a racist.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say I gotta say I'm still kind of. I mean, that might be true, but I'm gonna say in the voting booth that I think that Trump would be smart enough to know, because it's such a small margin that he won Wisconsin, Minnesota, and a lot of these other states that he knows if Duke ran, Duke could get enough votes, even if he is toxic and he's got a bad public image. And personally, I don't think it's that bad, but I mean, they did release that movie about it, but whatever. The point of what I'm getting at is I think that with all that shit that's happening with the left, with Kamala Harris and the rest of them fucking screaming about reparations, Duke's gonna at least get a few, maybe not a lot, but I think he'd get 3, 4, 5% of the vote. That'd be enough to swing it in several states and totally fucking derail Trump. And my point was, is it American Third Party or somebody like that should get him to run, since he's well known. At least people will know who the fuck he is, right?
Yeah. Well, we should have enough people. We should have enough people from all the red pill distribution from the whole. I mean, the left has pretty much pushed so many people into our camp, who who at least I guess you've got to be in situations where it's like a purple area, or you are you're aware of or you're affected by diversity, or you're around shit libs. I mean, we're all around shit libs just from the media itself, so everybody knows the rhetoric and shit. But there's got to be enough at some point of people that just aren't programmed to take their worldview from the TV. If we get enough people, like that's how Trump won too, is that everybody's on Facebook, and we infiltrated normie Facebook, or the alt-right, with memes and stuff. So we competed with the internet is competing with the mainstream media, but there's so many like boomers and so many other people like locked into that mindset that pretty much frames for them the allowable discourse and allowable opinions, and they don't step too far outside of that. More and more people are waking up, or the goyim are waking up to almost have like a mass effect to the point where we can almost kind of appoint our own candidates. And Duke, but I still think that it'd have to be be palatable to a certain centrist kind of normie.
I'm not saying that there's any like real chance. I'm not saying about winning anything. What I'm talking about is, since the left's gone so fucking insane, it's just get him to run so he can push Trump to start actually passing real immigration shit, not just saying he's going to.
Well, that's what Trump did too. Is he introduced the whole immigration thing. That wasn't even anything that anyone was talking about. They wanted it to go under the radar, and then Trump came and he introduced it as a topic at all.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm getting at is if Duke came in the race, it would, like the other guy saying in chat, it'd spice shit up, and that's something we should do anyways. Just regardless, get him to run for a little while. He can drop out before the actual general, or just shortly after. You know what I'm saying? Like just to let the motherfucker know you need to start listening to us. Otherwise, we'll totally derail your shit, and you're gonna lose. And for him, I'm saying for that guy, he's an egomaniac. If he lost, he don't give a shit. He would be like, nah, fuck it. Immigration, I'm deporting them all. We're passing a new bill when I get elected. It's gonna be anchor babies away and all this other shit. You know what I mean? Like, that motherfucker don't want to lose. I guarantee you he would fucking bend over backwards, start kissing our ass, or at least telling us what we want to hear. Not necessarily really going to do anything, but he'd at least bringing it ratchet up so high that maybe the left would go ape shit and really start a civil war. So that's the hope that I'm fucking thinking we can do.
Well, he served two masters. I'm a little more cynical about it. I don't think he would do it. I think they would just tweak the culture to to get their desired result, which would be less national or less white nationalist visibility, because that's the issue right now, is white nationalist visibility. I mean, Trump is pretty much a white nationalist as far as rhetoric goes when he was running, and his policies, if he did actually enact them, would be in effect white nationalist policies, because it would protect and conserve the white majority and our values, Western European values. He even spoke to that. But I think that's because we have such a visibility. That's why they're pushing this censorship thing so much, because in the minds of people, we are, if we get in front of their eyes and they listen to us, we're not the whack jobs that they want us to be. We're actually reasonable, and that we give, all they need is permission. They just need permission to think these thoughts, and to go down these have the logical progression, because in their mind to arrive at these conclusions. They just don't have the history, they don't have the knowledge. That's all everything is just control of the media, the information flow, so people what's beyond the pale because nobody goes there. Like Jordan Peterson would say, like, we've decided, Nazism is like, beyond the pale. That's where we all decide that's where we're not going to go. So that's why they're gonna have these like and they're gonna make them like rock stars or make them taboo too, and push them like a Milo into like into the controlled opposition positions for
Yeah, well, I would say that Jordan Peterson is definitely a perfect controlled opposition type character. He's one that does that and says, "Yes, this is it. This is what we need to do, but we're not really going to do anything. We're just going to keep repeating the same bullshit talking points that we've been repeating for forever." And yeah, that's going to work this time because liberalism and liberty and justice for all, and the Constitution is going to win out in the end or something. And it's like, oh, okay, that worked real well. That worked real well in the Weimar Republic too, right? I think that's that's my hope. It's the way it's heading, but I don't think it'll head that way. I think it's going to be more of a. Well, I mean, I guess it was kind of a civil war in Germany before Hitler got into power, anyways, because the communists and the National Socialists were fighting in the streets on a daily basis in places like Berlin and other states or other cities and other states inside of Germany. I think Bavaria was pretty well under the right-wing control. I think like Berlin, the capital, was actually contested between the communists and the National Socialists at the time.
Yeah, well, that's what we got to prevent. We got to prevent these violent Nazis from taking over, because that's what that's the big boogeyman that we're trying to push back. So we have to have we can't have what they stood for, and we have to deconstruct the Nazis and really get down to like exactly what they stood for, and then we have to stamp that out. That's what the cultural Marxists thought, and the authoritarian personality and stuff like that. But now people in more rural areas, we don't, unlike the rural areas in Germany at the time, they had like the beer halls and stuff, and they could actually talk about what the hell was going on, and they could all get on the same page and agree, in their community. Whereas now everybody is pretty isolated or atomized, and we all get the TV. We all have our different cults that we ascribe to or subscribe.
Yeah, but that's the reason why they've been doing so much with YouTube and the rest of it, is because they're seeing that they're getting hundreds of thousands of followers, millions of followers, and they're like, the message is spreading. The internet is the reason why they've been trying to censor the internet since it first started. This is information we don't control. Anyone can go out there and expose the truth as to what's happening in society. So when you got the internet out there and you got YouTube and all the rest of it, it's effective propaganda. That's why they want to shut it down. The podcasts, the live streams, music, all of it, the comic books, like you're doing music, comics, TV shows. I don't really know that we have any, but you know what I'm getting at. I mean, everything that we do to them, they know it's been effective and it's been working. And the younger generations, I think, are getting more and more resistant to all this multicultural PC crap, because when all you hear day in and day out is how horrible you are for being white and how you're an evil fucking piece of shit, and how you've been hearing also that racism is wrong and it's evil and all this other shit, and you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck am I getting attacked all the time? If racism is so fucking wrong, why is it okay to be racist against a white person? So I think these kids are starting to wake up to it a little bit, but that's why they sit there and they get people like Jordan Peterson that they promote, and they got Peterson, and then they had some article about the intellectuals of the dark web where they ended up putting up one of the Weinstein brothers, and it's like, oh wow, really? So Peterson and Weinstein and Ben Shapiro, those are the fucking intellectual masters of the fucking the intellectual dark web, or whatever the fuck they were calling it. I forgot. Dark Enlightenment or some shit like that. It's like, the fuck out of here. I don't even think they got anything to do with that shit.
It's the dark web. They called it the dark web, and it's the the TRS guys would call the kosher sandwich, or Mark Brahman. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's pretty good. He calls it the caduceus, the two snakes intertwined and they meet at the top. I don't watch them, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
It's a good point, but I don't really watch TRS. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going with what you were saying.
Oh, I'm a disenfranchised, marginalized white male who doesn't give a shit and just wants to know the truth. I logic appeals to me, and I see that in nothing other than online content. So that's what I pursue. And when they put out articles like the toxic white male, like those articles are to rein in white males and to tell them what is acceptable and how you should be. Like you should be one of the good ones. You should be an advocate. Like,
Yeah, but I think it has the exact opposite effect for any man that's got any balls or
well, exactly.
it's like if you have any kind of testosterone, any balls at all, you're gonna be like, yeah, fuck you, Salon or
Well,
HuffPo.
that's why they push it so hard. That's why they get so much, soy in the food. That's why they push. Like that's why they want so many effeminate, ineffectual males. Like
Yeah, well, you could look at the left. I mean, that's the joke right there. Is exactly what you're talking about. They had something called the slow left, and the guy was talking about his numbers, and I was like, Jesus Christ, those are fucking rookie numbers that you get in your first month, and you're sitting here bragging about you're starting this revolution of weightlifting and getting dudes all jacked and all this other shit, and I'm like,
yeah,
what the fuck? Like that's the one dude I was talking about with the fucking that was big into the comics and the movies and Marvel and all that shit, right? Well, he was talking about it. There was a dude that I worked with. He was pretty jacked and he was cut and everything. He's still, I don't remember. But anyways, he's a pretty good sized dude. And we were talking one time. Somehow it came up about politics, and the fucking jack dude was like, "Yeah, blah blah." This fucking beta male gaming dude did basically he looked like he played Warhammer 40,000 every day of his life and sat around playing video games and never doing anything else, right? So, anyways, this guy, he's all like, "Oh, you dudes in the gym or right wingers?" Just like, I thought they'd be a bunch of left wingers or something, like. The dude's like, "No, man, everybody I go to the gym with is pretty right wing. They're all Trump supporters or even further to the right." And I'm thinking, yeah, dude, there ain't nobody that's going to the gym hitting the weights. I mean, that dude that I was talking to, the one that was at my work, that jacked up dude, he was a lefty, but, he was one of the very few, and that was what he was telling his buddy there. Like, yeah, there ain't a whole lot of people like me. I'm thinking the only reason why he's going to it is just because he wanted to lose weight because he said he used to be a real fat kid when he was in high school and shit,
Yeah, that's the demoralization of the white male, because to improve yourself is to move in the right to the right politically and like worldview wise. Like if you're going to be a white male with a testosterone, then you're going to improve yourself because you want more life and you want eventually a family. Like that's the whole point of doing anything like success. So as a successful white male, that's what it looks like. So I would call that fascism. I call like the idealized, on a society scale, but like on a individual scale, I would call that.
You're trying to improve yourself to be the best that you can be, or you attempt to. I mean, it's always stuff that you got to do, and you got to keep improving it. I mean, tonight after I'm done with this live stream, I'm going to take that Jessica, and we're going to go to the gym. I just, what I mean? It's what we got to do. It's the things we need to do. It's a Saturday night. If you're watching this live stream and you're watching it and I get done, go to the gym. If you don't have a gym membership, then get you one tomorrow. So that's my piece of advice to you. Or buy some free weights and work out at home if you have to. Buy some dumbbells or something,
Well, they want everyone to fill this this cultural jar, or like this this receptacle or cup, and just be water and fill in. Like the whole point of having a community is to have standards, and if you are into self-improvement, then you are attaining an ideal, or you at least recognize an ideal. And that's what I think of as fascism, like just recognizing ideals.
Well, I mean, you should strive for it as much as possible. I mean, I'm obviously not perfect. I like to eat a lot. I like to eat. I like to eat a whole lot. I ain't gonna lie. I eat a lot of junk food, and I still work out. But I mean, it can kind of show. I'm looking at this video and I'm looking at my face and I'm thinking, Jesus, I really got to cut down on some of this junk food.
Yeah, but that's what you should. That's what like the mind like that's what we should be like thinking. We shouldn't let ourselves go and like just become more degenerate and like just indulge in vices even more so. Like
Yeah,
we should at least think of that. Like they want to demoralize white men so much that we don't have a group of men, or we don't have idealized masculinity. They want to take the idea of masculinity completely away, so that we just become spectators, or very passive, and
yeah,
just go along. And then once you're a boomer, or you get older, and you lived your whole life doing this, you try to talk to like a Christian out of being not a Christian anymore, and they've lived their entire lives doing that. They're going to protect it. That's what I was thinking about. People in war, like you go to the VFW in like World War II, the Greatest Generation, like you go talk to
yeah,
them about what National Socialism actually was, or the realities of World War II, and they're not going to talk to you about it because their entire ego, they would kill themselves the next day if they actually acknowledge
yeah. Because
that.
they get to see what the hell happened. Like, this whole idea that I was the hero, I was the saviors of the planet is not actually true. If
Yep.
I take it and I examine it and I see that, clearly, thank God the Germans didn't win, we'd all be speaking German now. And then you
God
just
forbid.
say, oh, that's when you say, hey, look at this, Desmond, amazing. Isn't it awesome that we're not speaking German right now? When
Yeah.
you give nice little examples like that, then you can see the fucking look of shame in their eyes, like, they don't want
Yeah.
to admit it, but they know deep down inside that
Well,
all they did was destroy their own people.
I think of it as the demographic changes is pretty analogous, because you don't want
Yeah,
to be racist until everybody's replaced. And if you
yeah,
have once you're there, once you're at the Desmond is amazing like point, you have to look back and like how the fuck did it get to this point? And if you're honest, and if you have the information, which they don't, and they're not, they would have to admit that we fought the wrong people during the war, and we live in the shadow of World War II. I mean, Jesus,
yeah.
what was it,
Well,
D-Day the other day? I remember walking past the TV, and Trump was on, and he was talking about the greatest generation and how like they they
yeah,
fought
they
back
saved
there.
the world.
Yeah,
They saved
yeah,
the world from fascism and Nazism, and thank God for them. Otherwise, we'd all be speaking German or Italian right now. And what a horrible world it would be, And it's like, yeah, oh, this is so awesome. I'm sure that it's great for trainees and faggots and Jews and jigs and all the
yeah.
other non-whites that fucking have come and invaded our countries at our expense. But for those of us, the founding stock that actually founded and started this country and all the European nations, it's not looking so hot for us. It's not the fucking right path. And you're right. It is. That's something that Dr. Pierce used to talk about a lot too. Is they really got that hard push where they was able to start really pushing it hard after World War II, because they could be like, look, this is what the Nazis believed. All this segregation stuff you're talking about, that's what the Nazis believed. And
Yeah.
anytime he defended white identity, well, that sounds pretty close to Nazism to me. You better knock that off, though, and shit like that. So
Yeah.
it was bullshit, and we both know it. But the boomers, I guess I'm not even sure that the greatest generation is really boomers. Pretty sure the greatest generation was before the boomers. So the boomers grew
Yeah.
up that was their parents that were telling them how awesome they were for fighting the Nazis, and they had all these movies like the Dirty Dozen and all this other shit that glorified them killing fucking all the Germans. So that's why they think that that's why I think it was probably easier to sell them this bullshit about let's free the blacks and make them all equal and everything's going to be great and everybody's going to hold hands and sing kumbaya. Because to be honest, the generation before, the boomers and, I guess generation before my generation, because I'm Gen X, but so like these generations before, the older ones that are still alive today, where like Jim Goat says, they believed that it was actually going to be good. They were going to hop in. They were going to hold hands. Everybody was going to be fine. Bygones were going to be bygones. We're all going to live together in peace and harmony. And it was like, no, that's never going to happen. People they ain't going to let shit go. They've never let shit go. And I mean, here's the other thing too, is our people never used to let shit go either. We had something called the weird gold, where, you know, if you fucking killed a member of my family or something like that, your family had to pay me a certain amount of money. And even then, I might not say that that's settled. I might decide later on, like, you know what, that grief is too much. I'm going to go kill one of your fucking kids because you killed one of mine. So that's, you know, ongoing feuds that happened in the Viking days, but that even happened up into recent history with like the Hatfields and the McCoys. It's not something that is uncommon amongst our people. And it's something when I think about all this shit that like Colin Flatterly documents with this black on white crime constantly. So when I think and I see somebody go out and they take out a couple toads and, you know, I see them do it, I'm thinking to myself, it's fucking weird, you're getting paid back for the fucking shit you've been doing to us nonstop since the 1960s and 70s when we took you out of your chains and gave you your civil rights. Now you're coming back and you're killing and raping and robbing all our people as revenge. And when we do it back to you, you're going to cry and go on TV and talk about how horrible it is.
I don't think they think of it. Is that me?
No, that's me. I'm sorry. I had to move my chair. I got to go grab my plug-in for my computer. So continue.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't even think it's they don't even consider it that far. They don't think about it that much. It's not revenge. It's just how they like their natural mode. Like if they are left unchecked, then they will run amok. And,
well, there's some truth to that, but there's also the fact that the reality is there really is. Well, for them, that's the reason why they're so obsessed with trying to fuck white women and everything else, is because they want that revenge. It's like this revenge against you, evil white motherfucker. You were fucking my great great grandma, so now I'm gonna fucking rape your fucking sister, or your cousin, or your mom, or your aunt, or whatever.
Yeah. You know? Which is
really
true. Maybe like.
Thinking.
Which is true, like maybe one time, maybe that happened one time or something, you know. But they definitely they promote that idea that, you know, George Washington or Benjamin Franklin, you know, they were fucking all these like black women and raping them and everything. They promote that idea, and it's just an antisocial sort of blood libel against white people, so that they are justified in their crime, and it stirs them up too. So that justifies their mindset to go ahead and rape and commit all these crimes because of, you know, slavery or any perceived wrongs against them. So, you know, I don't know who implanted that idea into the culture for them to seize upon, but we have to live with it. And
well, I wouldn't say they implanted it in the culture themselves. I mean, this is stories they were passing down to each other before, you know, any Jews were sitting there telling them, oh, hey, you know, check this out. Let's make some movies about that experience that your great grandma told you about. Because, you know, I mean, everybody, we understand that blacks are obviously lower IQ, but there are some blacks amongst them that actually do have intelligence, and those ones are going to remember, and they want that desire for revenge. They want that fucking, they got that burning hatred. I mean, you can look at Haiti and you can see what happens. You know, the lessons of San Domingo, it's, and I don't know, white man's Bible or nation eternal religion, but it's a very good, valid point. Is once the blacks take over, they start killing all the whites, and then the half breeds, and then eventually they start killing each other like they're doing now. And it's the same thing that's happening in South Africa to this day. It's still happening right now as we speak. I'm sure there's some farmer out there being killed, or some other white person that's been killed or robbed or possibly raped. I mean, you know, there were stories of these niggers in South Africa that were raping fucking babies and shit back and then not that long ago, a few years ago, because their witch doctor had told them that if you have a virgin, you know, if you bang a bird, if you have sex with a virgin, it would somehow cure your AIDS. It's some fucking ridiculous bullshit. It's fucking people actually really believe. So
yeah, how they justify or how they come up with these things, you know, is beyond. I don't, you know, I mean, it's just savage thinking. I mean, to some extent, like, you know, there's different aspects to it. There's one part of it is terrorism and being dominant in any given territory. Another is just friggin', just stupidity and
Yeah.
like married with the savagery. So it's kind of like a survival or a territorial thing where you get this done and you get the other thing done too. You rape a white baby and you cure your AIDS or whatever. You get seven virgins, or what is it, 70 virgins or whatever when you
Something like that. Yeah, 700 virgins when you blow yourself up or something.
yeah. So I mean, they're the people in these cultures. Someone's designed the culture, to rule over the rest of them, and they're perfectly catered or tailored to their mindset and who they are and everything. But yeah, they're stirred up and they're justified, and given like they're given like an ideology where it's black and white, good white man, bad for these reasons, and then they just don't, like with the whole same thing with feminism, like masculinity, you just give the bad examples and never the good ones, and then what the result is you know you get tattooed thoughts just selling their bodies on the internet instead of girls that are marriage worthy.
Yeah, well, I just gotta say the thoughts thing. I don't know. I never like that terminology. I don't use the nigger terms, so I just call them what they are. It's the tattooed brides that are looking like whores that are selling their ass on Instagram and all these
Yeah,
different webcam things. I get you, but I mean, they think they're going to be Instagram models. That doesn't work out. So then they just start selling nudes and all this other shit on Instagram and everything else because there's plenty of fucking dudes that'll pay for the shit for whatever reason. I've never understood that. It's like,
well, I think what it is,
why are you paying for it when it's free on the internet? Why the fuck do you do that, dude? What is wrong with you?
I
Just
think
saying.
I think with them, like the culture is so toxic. I was thinking about this, like they tattoo themselves and they become the fallen woman or like the damaged goods woman already to get that over with because they just perceive the culture like just that's their inevitable course.
I think it's also. I mean, I understand. I don't know. I mean, when it comes to tattoos and shit like that on women, I don't think that's. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's.
Yeah,
It's like it's more of a, I guess, a culture thing because like you go out to the West Coast, Arizona, California, fucking Nevada. Most of the chicks you're gonna see out there are gonna have a lot of tattoos and shit. You know what I mean? If
yeah,
they're good, if she's a good looking woman, she's gonna look good with a bunch of tattoos or not. I mean, Jesus Christ, you can look at that Michelle McGee chick, and she's got tattoos all over her, and she's still hot as fuck. And then
yeah.
so it really doesn't matter. It can add or it can decrease. If you're some fat, ugly, fucking SJW troll woman that looks like the fucking Oompa Loompa that was screaming,
It's
"Not
not
in
going
our
to improve.
campus," yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be worse. It's just gonna make them look 10 times worse. It's like the ugliest bitches will get these fucking tattoos all over their bodies and piercings and all this other shit. And you're just like, really? Like you're already fucking fat and ugly. Did you really need to add to the disgustingness? Just adding all this shit on you. You look like a fucking walking pin cushion with a bunch of fucking shitty tattoos. Good job, you dumb bitch. You
well,
know
now
what I mean?
now they're unique and they're still not asking for it. Like when they take off their shirt. And
Yeah.
so now they can yell at you and and talk about rape and all that kind of nonsense. But those attention getters, yeah, they need the attention and they make themselves, they they sort of preempt any advances towards them, or no, that it's all about their feelings and their ego because they know they're not attractive and they're not going to work on themselves. So they're the fat acceptance, and then they make themselves like even more terrible. So it kind of I'm trying to think of like the psychology of the whole thing, but I think of girls making themselves ugly. Like why do all these girls have 5 different piercings in their face like they tripped and fell into a tackle box? It's almost like
Right. That's what I'm talking about. But go ahead.
I think it's I do think it's especially with the younger generations. I think it's a porn culture, and I think it's like a traumatization of like their what sex is and everything, because they're gonna have the sex drive and everything, so it's almost like they're making themselves unattractive, but at the same time it's like the culture is such, and they have those hormones that they're going to like try to be sexually appealing because that's like the identity that's given to you. That's what you're allowed to have as an identity nowadays. You're like, you're trans, you're a thought, and or just like a sexually active person, and that's your value. Like women in the workplace, they don't really have generally very good ideas, or they don't really have anything to offer besides their body, their womb. I mean, it's totally in a degenerate culture. A woman's womb is to be, you know, uh, taken by somebody and harnessed and then used, and then but instead they use their sexuality to you know to get money and everything, because there's so many beta males out there, and the culture incentivizes beta male-ism because there's no they're trying to water down masculinity or redefine it or take away fathers and any idea of masculine, or demonize it so you're one of the good ones or whatever. So then you got these the whole thing is fucked. Like all the incentives, like men and or boys and girls are incentivized to do these unhealthy like kind of things, and like I'm kind of I kind of lost my thread there, but
that's all right. No, it's they're incentivized to fucking act like fucking total jackasses and act as degenerate as possible because it's the kind of shit that they're promoting. When you see articles,
that's the language they're given. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you see the shit promoted by all the fucking left wing rags that are on, that are aimed more towards the younger people, because the shit like Salon, Huffington Post, the rest of that crap, that's obviously aimed towards the younger generation.
Yeah.
Well, because you think about it, they don't have nothing but an online presence. They don't have they're not on the major news networks for the most part. There might be a little bit, but not much. So what it is with them is they promoted some shit I seen last week where they were talking about you can bring your children to the gay pride parades because kids can handle the kink.
Oh, kink,
and,
yeah.
And that's what they were talking about, and it's like, really, dude.
Yeah.
Like fucking that's the shit that they're pushing. But I mean, these are all here's what I'm saying by this is how it's being promoted and pushed to the younger generations. Because when I bought my last new phone, I had Google loaded up, and it took me to their news feed on the computer, and it was pretty much Huffington Post, Mike, fucking Vice, all this fucking left wing Salon, all that bullshit. This hardcore far left. The Young Turks network was one of the ones that kept popping up in the news feed. It'd be like, okay, I'm interested. All right, pro-white, blah blah. Anything would pop up, it'd always be this fucking far left commie bullshit. And then you would have, and anything on any subject. It could be just regular fucking. It could just be regular Republican shit. You could be Trump and immigration. Bam, you get 100 different fucking. If you put that in as subjects, if the stuff that subjects you were interested in, you would get either and I'm not talking the search engine. I'm talking the news app that they have, to where you can sit there and click on what stories you want to see in your news feed or what you're interested in following, and it pop up with all these fucking stories. So I pretty much just cut all the actual political stuff, most of it out, and just went to MMA and all right. And, it'd always be some garbage stuff that they put on there. But I would at least get an idea of what the enemy's talking about with regards to us and stuff, Although, to be honest, I should have put in Radio Werewolves. That way I could have seen them when they were talking shit about us on their website. So,
yeah, they try to corral you oh, you like politics, you'll like this, oh, you like edgy politics like the Young Turks or whatever.
Exactly. Oh, the Young Turks, wow.
It's just the kosher, oh, and if you want to go a little bit too far, here's the new edgy guy like Jordan Peterson, and you can go as far as you can with him. Oh, he's he's doing something edgy, he's promoting Christianity. Oh my, wow.
Yeah, that's some real hardcore shit there. Woo.
And I listened to his lectures, and I did I did get some out of it. But the thing with like Jordan Peterson is he filled a niche, like a improvement kind of thing. Like he did serve as like a father figure, and like he gave good advice, beyond just sort of clean your room or whatever. And it was he was edging towards a fascist, kind of worldview. But then at the end, it's identity politics. Like you don't get into, and if you're a white male, and he's his entire audience was white males, because that's where they were, because they're all wayward and don't know where to go, where they're going, and they reject the capitalist identities, or they're the degenerate identities that they make available to you through like a Teen Vogue, or everything else, just like
all the mainstream bullshit that they try to push at you, like, oh, you can be a gamer dork, or you can be this, you can be that, but it's like you can't be.
What all that stuff is like you sign on into something and you create a new account on YouTube or whatever. It's like, hey, you could be this, or like, hey, you could be that. I've had people say that to me, like like, hey, you could be that guy. You could be this guy, or you could fill this role, like that, like we know this role exists as almost kind of like an archetype, because like they've appeared, that role has appeared in like different movies, like or TV shows or whatever. You could totally have a completely manufactured or fabricated bullshit identity or whatever, that you've like that you've drawn from
it's already kosher approved.
Yeah.
It's kosher approved, like Jordan Peterson. I mean, he did fill that niche for a lot of those guys. A lot of people that were looking for it. That's the reason why you had like Jordan Peterson and Gavin McInnes had so much success with the Proud Boys shit. That's why they spread all over the country, because all those white men were looking for something to join, and they might have been a little too scared to actually join something really far right, possibly fascistic or Nazi like. So they'll stay away from all those guys goose stepping the street. But I don't know. I can be part of the Proud Boys and still just be proud to be a white male and have Western civilization, and that shit's cool. And it was even then they still had people in their chapters. I know I talked to a friend of mine that was two dudes that was involved with some of the Wisconsin stuff we were doing, and they were involved with those guys that were Proud Boys here in this state, and they were saying there was quite a few of them that were actually pro-white, and there was a few others. It was like they were saying it was maybe half and half, where the guys were pro-white and the other people were like, yeah, nothing wrong with white pride, but we don't want to go too far type shit. You know what I mean? So, and it was mostly, I think it was mostly the people from the top, like Gavin and a bunch of these other fucking people up at their higher levels that were telling, oh, no, you can't be racist, or we'll just disband your fucking group and fucking kick you out of our little fucking club, And it just made me laugh, because it's like, what the fuck? With a name like the Proud Boys, did you really expect to be in some kind of really, truly strong, edgy man's club? I mean, come on, man. It's not a real man's club. Yeah, you're calling yourself you're calling yourself a boy. So how the fuck are you in a man's club? That's one of my fucking questions. And two, you call yourself a Proud Boy. Sounds like you're in some kind of faggot fucking organization to me, So
you're being groomed by Gavin. Don't move too far up into the echelons, because then you find yourself in his office with a locked door behind you. But
well, I don't. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. It was like, I don't know. I mean, he wasn't as bad as fucking Yilo, Indianapolis, whatever the fuck that fag's name was, but
straight up faggot too, that was trying to usurp the alt right completely. He was trying to channel it, and I think that's what Gavin was trying to. He served his function. It was inherently a white male identity group, and then you could also have based black guy or based Asian. I grew up in a small town, and the place was mostly white, so it was basically white culture. And we had like our token black guy, but he was cool because he wasn't surrounded by he didn't regress to the mean of his people. He hung out with us.
White is what you're saying. He was like the niggers call him. He's Uncle Ruckus or Uncle Tom. So,
he was a cool. I mean, he played up like his blackness, and everybody wanted to be his friend, and it was it was mutually beneficial for anyone involved and everything. And he was, cool and stuff. And but that's kind of what the Proud Boys is. It is like a it's kind of hipster too. Like hipsterism is basically white identity. Like these hipsters love white culture. Like white culture is everything that we have as far as music and everything, and they'll celebrate the like Jimi Hendrix or something. But Jimi Hendrix is doing what he like black culture exists inside white culture. There wouldn't be a black culture without so it's basically American culture is like a white identity kind of thing. Like it is all part and parcel to what we have created, and what exists inside of it is a product of us. So like it's all white identity. And you just that's the one thing I liked about Cantwell too, is like he would talk about inherently, like if you were to have an identity, like what are the things that you can't change? Well, I'm a male and I'm white, so I'm a white male. And then you look and you see that you should feel bad, and you can't. The conclusion that you take away from everything is that you just have to like either hate yourself or be one of the good ones and just be like a foot soldier for SJW global homoism, or just be a fag or trans. You could these identities are available to you, or you could just opt out and be a gamer or something like that, and just not be a player in the real world or something. But if you're gonna,
I understand where you're coming from. I know you're on a rant, and I cut you off, and I didn't mean to, but I just gotta say, you're making some valid points. That is true. It is a good point that those are the things that they like to do. They like to say, well, you can't be racist because that's outside the pale of society, like Jordan Peterson would say in his little talks, where he's trying to push people away from being a national socialist or fascist or whatever. But it's like, dude, that's not, you can be whatever the fuck you want to be. This is supposed to be America, right? So be that. And don't worry about what the next person is going to think. And if they got a problem with it, that's why you go to the gym, you get big, and you start learning all this other shit so you can fucking crack them in the head if they get too big of a problem with it. The problem is a lot of these guys probably couldn't handle going to prison, so it's just don't do anything that'll get you in trouble. But you have the right to defend yourself. So if you are fucking bothered and harassed and bullied or whatever, I guess you can call it, if somebody slaps you, you better fucking hit them back, is what I'd tell you. Who gives a fuck if you go to jail? You better not fucking let yourself be. You don't want to fucking be. I don't care what the fucking law is. You got to be a man. At the end of the day, you got to be able to look in that fucking mirror. And if you let some fucking other man smack you in the fucking face, how are you ever going to be able to live with yourself? So that's my point. I don't give a fuck what the law says. If somebody attacks you, you have the right to defend yourself. So that's that. And if they change the law, then who gives a shit? You better be prepared to do some jail time. So go ahead, sir.
Well, the battle is more won in the mind, or like lost or won in the mind. So what they want, what they want is a population of men that won't defend themselves. And if they're not going to defend themselves, then they're not going to have a family, or they're not going to be responsible for other people. It's demoralization of white men. Like the Jordan Peterson, he talks about being an individual. If you're an individual, you don't have a group. You make it on yourself. Make it on your own. Within an economy.
Yeah.
And then you compete against other people. Like capitalism is competition with other people, and it's kind of this mindset of if you're winning, then someone else is losing, and then then vice versa. So it's just this constant competitivism with or competition with other white males. Because we are we are the players in the market. So you're an individual and you're playing against these others individuals. It's like in They Live, like that line from a black dude. It's like I'm going to get what I want, but you're also going to get your one. I forget the exact quote, but basically, you can get it. But that's what they want. They want people to compete, so they don't want a network of guys that actually aren't going to steal your shit, or be antisocial towards you, or because that kind of stuff, being a total shithead towards another white male for no good reason except for that maybe they're weak or something. You're not going to help them out. You're going to see them as a prey. They want just predators and and pray. And
Well, the thing is that that's what they actually want, which I'm pretty sure they don't want that. If you had a bunch of white super predators running around, we're gonna fucking take over the whole goddamn fucking country pretty goddamn quick because there ain't nobody gonna be able to stop us. I mean, you can already see this shit when you go into like the penitentiary. It's like you see those white super predators in there. They're the ones fucking taking shit over and fucking making it life miserable for anyone that they decide to make it visible for. But I don't really think that's exactly what they want. They don't really want that kind of thing. They want more of a person that's going to just sit back and never actually do anything. They want them to sit on their hands and not do any actual thing. It's just, oh, well, let that shit go. Don't worry about it, white man. This one more outrage after another. Just keep sitting on your hands. Don't worry about it. One day we're going to elect somebody. Trump will finally deliver on those promises. Some way that's going to happen. I mean, the one thing about all those libertarians that they had right is the state is force, and that's all the state is. It's might makes right no matter how we fucking push it nowadays. It's still the basic equation is might makes right. And if you got the might and you actually have the will to use that might, then you win. And that's the reality. The reality right now is that the state is the might and they have all the power. But if the current state continues the way it is, it's tearing itself apart. And that's going to be a good thing for all of us because if the state tears itself apart and it starts getting more and more into anarchy and chaos, that means there's more chances for us to start establishing little pockets of our own power to where we can be where we'd have our own, I guess, fiefdoms, if you want to call it, to where we'd have our own tribes ruling our own areas. That's the reason why I encourage the local activism and stuff and people that are building their own tribes and their own communities and shit like that, right?
Well, that's why when they look at like the board of directors at a company, they say, there's too many white men in this. They got white men. It's your turn is over. You need to step down. And like all those white men had outcompeted, other white men to get into their positions. They played the game and they rose up in the hierarchy of like, the corporate ladder and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's a fake hierarchy. I mean, it's not a real hierarchy. It's a fucking garbage one. It's all about like how much money can I steal from other people? How much can I try to convince other people? Or how much can I sell? Or how much can I do this? It's not a real hierarchy. A real hierarchy would be men standing there fighting in an arena or a battlefield or something like that. That's something that men actually respect is that strength. That's the reason why shit like the world's strongest man is still a massively popular sport that's watched around the entire goddamn world, right? And that's the reason why people respect it. That's the reason why if there's some big jacked up dude walking down the street, most people are just like, okay, I'm going to steer away from this guy. And they might be like, wow, that motherfucker's jacked, and shit like that. So I understand that. And it's the way you're explaining it is like, it sounds like the way Jordan Peterson would explain shit like, oh, we're a civilization of societies and laws and all this other stuff. But the reality is those laws are only enforced by, the military, the men with the might, the military and the police and shit like that. Without that, it would be total chaos and people that are stronger would be like, no, I'm not paying you anything. Go fuck yourself. I won't pay that tax. I'll tax you now. I'm going to start going to other people's houses and taxing them, So I guess I'm making that point is I understand where you're coming from with the hierarchy stuff with the, guys that are coming in there and they want it amongst other white people. But I would say they're probably competing against non-whites too because now they force so many non-whites into that. So that means those white people that are getting those jobs are competing even more so than they had in the past when they actually had been like unqualified non-whites aren't going to be doing these jobs. And even the qualified ones, we don't want them in because these are white companies and we used to look after each other and make sure that our country and our companies and things like that were actually, made up of the people that live in this country, which was white men and women, mostly men because men were the ones that went and did the work and brought home the bacon for the wife to cook, and feed their kids with.
Well, ultimately, they want to shit can the entire, America and country by putting in the diversity hires and everything. Because if it's a true meritocracy and a company you want the best men in, in charge, and then you of course you select for the traits that is conducive to selling or being a middle manager, and then higher manager, and then whatever.
Yeah.
So if you the government, but that's why they petition the government so much to like, look at all these white men. We've got to get some blacks in there and stuff. Like, then of course the company doesn't want that, and unless they unless the government incentivizes and gives them kickbacks or whatever for having like a quota and stuff, and then they're going to get the best guy in there, and then they're going to his job will be the black guy in the office, and that's pretty much what he does.
Yeah.
And everybody else covers for him, and be his best friend, and that's pretty much
Yeah.
the role that he serves, because that's where we're at.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. That reminds me, taking you back to your other point about you guys had your token nigger there back in the old days when you was back there. Now, see, for me, I don't see any reason to have something like that living around you, having any need for that. Now,
well, it's incentivized again. It's like, we're so, because that's the thing now. Like the morality is to be not racist. So everybody gets to socially signal like their good nature by like putting their arm around the Negro. But I cut you off. Sorry.
No. It's a good point. I don't remember exactly what the hell I was going to say, because I was kind of trying to think it up in my head what the hell I was trying to continue to talk about, but I think you got your point was something about that, and I'm trying to remember. And this little fucking cocksucker put his shit on there. Sorry. Anyways, you little bastard sent using up fucking memory on my fucking computer that I need. But yeah, so you got a point about that. It is.
But I would say, going back to the businessman, or capitalism, and the hierarchy of white men, in these companies and everything. It's not authentic. They're not doing it for anything that's real. Like, they're doing it. It's all bullshit and fiat. They're pushing numbers around, or they're writing things on paper. It's not blood and it's not blood and soil. It's not it's not anything. It's profits, margins.
Yeah, it's not anything that's going to make them remembered thousands of years down the road. They're not going to be singing their praises like Julius Caesar or Alexander the Great or anyone like that that's actually conquered and done something that's been worthwhile. Or, I'm not saying that those men had done anything. They done great deeds, and they did stuff that was very impressive. So, that's the reason why their names are remembered. So, those are the men that'll be forgotten by history, and
middle management.
Well, men like Hitler and Goering and Hummel and all the rest are going to be remembered.
Yep.
But the rest of these people will not. And I mean, it is the life that they're giving you here in America now with the this capitalism that they want to push on everyone. Like, it's so awesome, it's so great. Here you go, fucking be a wage slave for the rest of your life. Have fun, and I'm not saying that as men you shouldn't want to fucking work and make sure that you're earning your daily keep and contributing to society, but at the same time there's got to be more to life than just sitting around fucking pushing numbers and making money for some Jew somewhere or some other rich fucker. I mean, it's a Jewish system. Yeah, it does. It seems like it's all about the usury and stuff.
Yeah. Go back to Jordan Peterson. I do think that he was really smart and was trying to create like this, alternative reality sort of worldview that could totally be like a whirlpool for men waking up or wanting to improve, to like fall into, because he would talk about like the lack of spirituality. He'd talk about nihilism and meaninglessness in people's lives, and that's pretty much like the crisis right now. Is like a spiritual crisis. Like, people don't have any meaning in their lives. They're not fighting for anything, and I think that's something that well-intentioned, like the cream of the crop white men need. Like, the best people go to battle. Like, so then all these like men fight in these wars, and the ones that do come back are traumatized, and the ones that don't obviously died, but that's how they use up the best of the stock. And then you get these businessmen who have been selected, their skills are basically, you know, just to bullshit people. Like, it's inauthentic. Like, I think of the market and selling. Like, the biggest thing, you know, the biggest trait that you need to develop in selling is to be authentic and to be genuine, but not like, but that's ironically, I'm misusing that word, but like, you know, to 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 convince the other person that you're genuine, and to, like, you know, be a real person with them on the phone, or, you know, anything like that. Like, these people are, they're empty golems. Like, you know, their product is basically that they can put on a show and act like a Hollywood actor. Is like, their product is that they can convince you that they are a different, like a person. And
Yeah.
that's what capital is. Like, that's what I think of, like, the culture right now. Like, that's what people are. Like, people are just shells that, you know, they don't really have anything inside, except for that they can convince others of this character that they've selected themselves to portray, you know, in society. So, like, the social arena, or the social stage, is, like, you know, what's important. Or, like, you know, coming off as, like, you know, like, it's social signaling. And so, like, they want to be the best person, and that, you know, will get them the mate, or, you know, like, that's the kind of, like, competition and everything. But there's no idea of what's best for, you know, everybody in the future, or right now, or, you know, reality in and of itself. Like, people just ignore reality because everybody's in these ideological different cultures. Everybody's swept
Yeah.
up in their own ideas, and, like, they have their own identity that's not part of who they are ancestrally, or, like, their blood, or, you know, where they came from, or anything. It's totally divorced from, like, actual reality. And that's the one thing that white men do have, is, like, logic and reason, and, you know, living in reality. Like, that's what we do. We build shit, you know, that stand, and we have authority because of, like, the know-how and all that kind of stuff. So I think by building an empire based on fiat and bullshit, and, you know, like, those are the traits, those are the Jewish narcissistic traits that, you know, win in the end. Like, that is greatly demoralizing for, you know, our folk, the people, like, the actual, like, you know, people. And eventually people are going to get pissed off and find their own people, and, like, we're gonna, you know, create a network of men that, you know, help each other out, because that's what you need to improve. You have to have other people. You can't be an individual. You have to you know, have a network, a brotherhood of type of sorts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you do need to have that network. You need to have other people. We need to stand together, and that's, you know, poor the old Jordan Peterson is an idiot. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, play individualism when everybody else is out there doing identity politics. But if you just stick to the individualist shit, eventually they'll come around to what you're saying, because they'll see your ideas are better. And it's like, no, you're just gonna fucking die, and they're just gonna fucking wipe you out and take your people and replace it,
Well, that's
because
the
you're
thing.
stupid enough to fucking not fight as an actual cohesive unit, you know? So
Yeah, and there's no future or anything real behind it. It's just him blustering. You know, it's just a Jewish trick. It's just like, and in the end, it's capitalism anyway. It's just like, oh, well, I believed you, so I bought your book. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
well, you know, now you can do that. It's like a pyramid scheme, or not a pyramid scheme, but like you ever get you ever see those things where they'll send you DVDs, or they'll get you on the phone, and they'll talk about how you can make all this money by selling this product, and then, you know, they don't tell you what the product is, but that they'll call you again. Like, old people fall into this scheme that are, like, on hard times or whatever, and then they call you again, and eventually they sell you, they send you this DVD that you pay, like, you know, $20 for, and it's some rich guy languishing, like, next to his pool, and he's talking about how the company did him all this this good stuff, and they still don't tell you what the product is, and then they get you on the phone again, and you get the next package, and then eventually it's supposed to, like, dawn on you that the product is the phone calls and the DVD. So what you could do, and that goes back to, like, the thought economy too, or like these girls online, is that, you know, they just sell you the idea of, like, I'm going to be your girlfriend or something, or give you this attention, and then, you know, you just give them money and everything. It's just like this bullshit. It's just a bunch of bullshit. You feed your wants and your real human needs into it, and then at the end you just dish out money. And then
Yeah, well, I'd say that's kind of why they do it. They can make money doing it. It's
Mhm.
the whole purpose of it. I mean, that's the reason why them fucking, they get a little bit of fame, and hell, they might get a few thousand followers on Snapchat or Instagram. It's probably better than doing just a straight webcam show for them, because not only do they, they get not only do they get like the money, but they also get to feel like they're special because they got a couple thousand people that are following them on
Oh
their
yeah, the
Snapchat,
attention.
just so they
Yep.
can see some fucking half naked pictures or a few naked pictures, and she sells the more spicy shit behind a paywall or something.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, it's not. I don't know honestly why anyone would pay for that shit. It's like, dude, are you kidding me? Are you that lacking in human contact that you want to fucking web chat with a broad that's web
Yeah.
chatting
Well,
with a couple hundred other people at the same time? Does that really seem? You know what I mean? Does it really
well,
seem?
I think it's hijacking your own brain. I think it's like if the fantasy is close to your reality, or like it could happen, or you're actually talking to an actual person instead of like getting your dopamine fix by just going off in your own fantasy or whatever. Like the prospect of it actually happening, is like a sustainable fantasy for however long you need to like get your dopamine fix or whatever. Like that's kind of like where we're at. This, I mean, the sexual marketplace is so fucked. Is just so bullshit. Is fucked. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
obviously
I
that's
mean,
why people do this. Like, you still have like, it's men. You got needs, and women
well,
do too. They go into heat, and they just like, of course, by the time they're 16, they know where they fall on the scale. So how they have effect over men.
yeah. Well, all I'm gonna say is when we're talking about stuff like that, it's a lot of. I don't know. It seems to me that there's a lot of really socially awkward kids these days that have no social skills, that grew up online. All they know is social
Autistic.
media, and I mean, I guess so, but it's not. It's not really autism. It's just they're
Yeah.
socially retarded. You could actually get them to get out there and socialize and get in the real world and see what shit's like and the way they should behave and how they can act. And the thing is for someone that likes honesty and truth in all things, being out there in the social situations, like if you're out and about and you're, I don't know, you're at a grocery store or a club or whatever, and you meet some woman at the coffee shop or something, you start talking to her. You're not, you're not just going to go out and start saying, "Oh yeah, 1488, baby, what's up?" Most people, if you got any common sense, that's not the way you're going to start off a conversation. If you want to
Yeah.
you meet some chick, you want to talk to her, you're gonna tell her, how she looks, how pretty she is, shit like that. You're not
Yeah.
fucking going straight to politics, because women aren't usually interested in that. The women will follow your politics once you start sleeping with them or you marry them or whatever. I mean, personally,
No.
being this day and age, I wouldn't suggest you just go marry the chick just so you can try turning her towards your politics. You're probably gonna have to date her, and you guys will start having sex together, and she's gonna start forming attachments, and a guy will start forming feelings for this chick too, even if you don't really like her that much, because you find out she's got some really stupid liberal ideas, but you start sleeping with her, so you're like, okay, now I'm gonna start changing her mind. I mean, it's probably like what I'm guessing Richard Spencer's probably doing. He's thinking he's going to change this liberal goofy broad more into his way of thinking, which I'm sure will probably work, but she's probably influencing his way of thinking as well. Because women can influence your way of thinking sometimes too. I guess it just depends on how intelligent you are and how intelligent she is as to whether or not she can make a good argument for her side of the case. But when it comes to stuff like race and fundamental shit, you're not going to change anyone's mind that's truly awakened to what it means to be white, and what it means to be a white person, and just that you're though just one person in a long chain of people that have come before you, that you're carrying on that legacy of your people, and that family after family, this we stretch back the thousands of years. You stretch back is what I'm getting at. This is not just
No.
something that happened yesterday. We've always had race and nation as the heart of our thinking. You know, even back in the ancient Greek times, they had all the city-states, the polis. All that meant was that it was the race. It was your ethnic group. They fought against anyone who was not Greek. They considered them, you know, non-Greeks were barbarians and beneath them. So, and even those people, like the Greeks is where civilization started. They had plenty of philosophers. They had plenty of people who were intelligent, you know, and they still had warriors. They still knew that they had to fight. They didn't just say, well, okay, I'm just going to do intellectual stuff and I'm going to just focus on that. I mean, I guess there were a few that were like that, but you had others like the Spartans who obviously were intelligent and were more military minded. But then you had the Athenians who seemed more degenerate. So as far as societies goes, is the way we should model, I think, our societies off of ancient peoples. You know, obviously Germans, because they didn't tolerate, the Germanic tribes really didn't tolerate the buggery and the faggotry shit. And the Greeks, you know, the Spartans might have tolerated some of that, but they were actual manly men and did everything like men should do. So go after the German idea, but maybe with the discipline of the Spartans is what I would say as some kind of inspiring way for that. Because the barbarians, our Germanic ancestors were wild when they'd fight, wild and free, and that's fine for like a one-on-one fight if it's champion versus champion. But in today's society, the world society we live in, the groups that we're gonna come into, we're gonna be fighting as like, you know, peoples and tribes against each other. So we're gonna have to be prepared to fight as units, cohesive units together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Usually my opening line when I meet a girl that I want to seed is your phenotype would very much complement my genetic line, and therefore we should breed.
That's got to be a winner every time. I imagine every chick is like, "Yeah, woo!"
Oh,
I'm sure they're just loving you. They're like, "Fuck yeah!" I can imagine you got a long fucking line of women running around the corner, buddy.
may I breed you?
Yes, that's perfect. Yeah, there you go. I definitely try that.
Women want to see men demonstrate competence in like situations, like yeah, I remember when I started like dating, you know, I would take girls in high school to like, you know, friendlies and to like a movie because that's what I thought you would do, you know, and then like put your arm around them in like the movie theater or whatever, and then like walk them to the door and like give them a kiss. That's you know that's the 90s. So you know that's not the dating scene anymore. But I mean, you know, like now it's just chaos. Like, you know, what the fuck do these people do? They don't do anything actually, and then they, you know, they just rely on being in institutions like college, like, you know, until they find somebody, and if not, then, you know, on the internet, I guess. But yeah, women want to see demonstrations of competence, you know, in conversation, like, you know, they want like someone that can demonstrate like decorum. If you're in a certain setting, then you don't mention certain things, like you don't yell you know, like, oh shit, I hope we don't get the nigger waiter or something, like, you know. So
Yeah.
and then like, you know, I mean but that pretty much says it all. That's how women select. Like if you that they read like men as like, you know, how they present themselves in like any situation. I mean, you can pretty much, women are very much, I think they're subconscious, like mostly they're driven by their sort of like instincts, and you know, they read men, you know, they just kind of go on their feelings, like, I have a feeling about this guy, like, oh, you know, and then they'll analyze it, like, he did this thing, and you know, I guess that's like a faux pas or whatever. But you know, back in like real, you know, like when people were closer to nature and reality, like it was a issue of, you know, who can protect me and then even provide resources. Like if you're a rich man, then you can build a wall around the fucking house, and you know, like have a reputation, you know, in politics, or just, you know, have money to like, or not even money, but and be able to protect the home, you know, or you know, the kids and the family and everything. You were, you know, you were competent in that way, and you were an authority in something, like to provide, you know, in the community, like some kind of service, or you know, provide other people like around you. So like, you know, you'd have to like depend on the community, and you'd be a pillar in the area or whatever. So like that women are basically just like their sexual strategy is to find a man with resources, and if they can, some women, they think they can have it all. They can have like the protector, a strong guy, and then the looks, and then he's also a fucking genius that invented like a product and makes millions of dollars, whatever.
Well, I mean, I think it's more of like when they're younger, they care more and more. When a woman's young, most of them, not all of them, but I'd say the vast majority of them actually care more about looks and
oh yeah,
they care more about looks and I guess personality that they think fits well with them. And then when they start getting older, when they start thinking about actually having children, then they start looking at more of the wow, is he going to be able to make money? Is he going to be able to do this, that, and the other? And a lot of women will stick around with these losers, have kids with them, and then they'll realize like, oh, this guy's just a fucking bum or a drug addict, or he's never going to be a famous rock star. And I latch myself onto this guy, and now he's never going to make it big and shit. And it's like, well, I just told he had kids with this guy, and he's basically just a useless fucking pothead that sits around all day in his fucking underwear playing video games, acting like one of the kids, and he's kind of like a stay-at-home mom, and I'm out here fucking working all the time, and this bitch ends up getting on Facebook or one of these other fucking social media apps and starts talking to other dudes, an old high school flame or something. Next thing you know, she's out seeing this guy, and fucking couple months to maybe a year or two later, she's up and leaves the fucking dude, takes the kids, and dude's fucking stuck at home going, what the fuck? I thought that bitch loved me. What happened? How did this happen? And it's like, well, that's what happened is the woman decided to change. She changed and you didn't, and that's going to be her fucking excuse. And it's like, there is some positive change that people can do. Like, like I said, improving on yourself, doing shit like that, that's fantastic. But if you're talking about, you don't need to change fundamentally who you are as a person, but you could improve on things that that you're weak at, that you're lacking in. If you're a fucking brainiac that reads all these books, say you read a couple books a day, but you really don't do much physical activity, you're kind of a wimpy little beta male, then hey, here's an idea. Go to the gym and start working out. Or if you're a guy that's a fucking meathead and you don't hardly ever read or do any kind of research at all, don't read newspapers or any basic research whatsoever, then I'd suggest, yes, go out and start reading some books, start going online and reading PDFs, or at least reading the news so you can be informed about what's happening in the world around you. I know that, yes, there's controlled news and fake news. That's true. But you can still actually see that they're reporting on it, and they're, on certain events, they're reporting on it, and then they're putting their own spin. And then a lot of it's more of they just bury news stories, bury things that are relevant and promote a lot of shit that's totally irrelevant. They might say, oh, okay, well, we're fucking, this black guy just went into this church in Tennessee and shot up 7 people in retaliation for Dillard Roof. But we're going to cover this story about Kanye West and fucking, Kanye West being rude to Taylor Swift at the fucking Grammys or something stupid like that. That's what's on the nightly news as opposed to that mass murder that this spook just fucking did. All right, so go ahead, brother.
I think it's more of a spiritual kind of thing. It's like, not like woo woo or crystals, or some kind of like inauthentic spirituality kind of thing, but like when like people couple, like I see it like people getting divorced all the time, even and with kids, and it's just like, you didn't connect on a deeper level, like you didn't go deep enough. And like some people just have never, gone like deep into themselves, or self-analyzed, or went into their own psyche or whatever. And I'm not talking about like going to a therapist and feeling good about yourself and just like gassing yourself up to like go to the next day or whatever, but like actually like working on yourself and like like looking at what motivates you and everything. And that, I think that goes to the nihilism and like what the culture itself incentivizes. Like the culture itself doesn't incentivize people thinking deeply about who they are and like what they think about like the fucking universe or whatever. Like I remember like talking about like God and like all this kind of stuff that is almost just like, you can't even breach in like some, people don't even ever breach even with their close friends and stuff. So I think it's just having like a connection and being able to have a connection. I think that starts with your parents too. I think it's a crisis of broken families, and if your parents never had that connection at all, then you know uh, good thing if they stay together, because then it's they've kind of they've relied on them on each other for so long that they couldn't do without the other person. But like it's better if like people have that connection, like they talk about. Once a woman sleeps with over 100 dudes, like she doesn't have the ability to couple anymore. And it's that like
What? Who the fuck said that?
I forget who it may have been like Roosh or something. Like he talked
Yeah,
about.
okay. Roosh is not a fucking source to have about women. I mean, he might know how to pick up chicks and sleep with them, but I would not take his advice on love life. I mean, I don't even know that he's slept with as many women as he claims he has. I mean, just because you observe the way women act and behave doesn't really make you a pickup artist. And that right there is about stupid. I would suggest people go watch Mr. Medicare's little thing about the Pickup Artist Academy. I think it was called the Lonely Cells or something. I don't remember what the fuck it was, but that's my idea. Whenever I see a pickup artist or some guy like Roosh V talking about blah blah blah, I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, buddy. You're
Well,
a real stud.
I do think generally, like like a top stock, or like it's like a very attractive woman or whatever gets involved in hypergamy, she selects for like traits, and they're not necessarily like authentic traits. They're more of like who can succeed in this economy, who is
like I said,
charisma.
That's the charisma has got a lot more to do with it. I mean, because there's plenty of guys out there that play in bands that are just fucking garage bands that all they ever do is play like local shows, and they don't make no money off it. But I remember there was a dude when I used to live back in Illinois down by Peoria. This guy, he had his little one-man band and shit, and he made a little bit of money off it, but not much. Basically, he pretty much lived off his fucking girlfriend, who was fine as fuck. And I mean, this dude, was just a typical normal looking dude. He kind of looked effeminate, to be honest. He had kind of long hair and shit like that. And he was kind of, what I'm saying? He played guitar and shit like that. So he gave out that kind of emo, effeminate vibe type thing. Bitches loved it. All these chicks. I mean, I remember we was there playing this show, and there was some bride that just fucking gave her phone number, and she was a good looking chick. It wasn't like she was some fucking dog. This bitch was, probably on a scale of 1 to 10, she was a 7 or 8. So my point is charisma, the fame, the idea of being able to be with someone who might be famous someday. To women, that's much more, it seems to me, than the actual real fucking fame or money or power. I mean, there's people out there that I don't know. Like I said, it helps. This guy, he was just a fucking singer in some lame ass one man band bullshit. He'd been in a couple of local bands. He wasn't ever gonna fucking strike it big. I mean, the guy was already, I don't remember, in his late 20s, early 30s. His ship had sailed. Obviously, he didn't even have a band. He was doing like acoustic sets, playing by himself. At different bars around the area, and it's like. No, dude. I mean, I understand what like Roosh is saying. He wants you to be like, really, hey, that the saying as it used to be is you can't make a hoe into a housewife, and that's pretty much true. I mean, you're gonna have a hard time if I wouldn't say coupling, and I don't even know what it sounds. Doesn't even sound. It sounds like we're talking about some scientific experiment. But yeah, if she's going to be some woman that's going to be a partner, a lifelong partner, a chick that you think you're going to have a family with, as you slept with over 100 guys, yeah, you might want to question whether or not you really want to pick that woman as your lifelong partner. But I mean, that's really up to you. I'm not going to fucking judge you. I mean, I personally don't want to know if I found some chick and she says she slept with 100 guys, actually admits to it. I'd be really worried that she'd slept with more like about 300 or 400 fucking guys.
Yeah,
because
it's always like 3 times as much.
There you go. What was that? That was American Pie. But yeah, I'd say it wasn't that American Pie or Clerks. I don't remember. But the point is I think it's probably not too far off. If a chick's telling you she slept with 4 or 5 guys, she's probably slept with fucking more like 15 or 20. So,
Yeah.
and in today's society, you can't really expect her to be uh, very pure anymore, unless unless you just happen to be lucky and she gets knocked up really young, and then she's going to be more selective because she has kids, most likely, but not guaranteed either. I mean, because there are some of those young single mothers that are out sleeping with lots of fucking dudes still, but you gotta figure most of them, the ones that are more responsible, the ones you see taking care of their kids, aren't just bringing home any fucking random dude to just bring home from a a one night out at a bar or something, right? So
Yeah.
that's one thing. But yeah, like I said, Rosh V, that guy, I don't give a shit. That dude, the only reason why probably the only reason why that dude even gets pussy is simply due to the fact that he managed to make it big by convincing a bunch of incel types that, hey, I got this fucking shit that'll work for you. You can play game and you do the game and it's going to get you all this pussy and shit. And
Yeah.
I mean,
it is the game. And like that guy that you were just talking about, it seems like he was the king of the local scene. So, he gets all the attention. And of course, the woman by his side is going to get as much attention too for being just the woman by his side. And
yeah,
she's going
well,
to, prestige is maybe the wrong word, but,
I don't know if he was the king of the local scene. I never even heard of the fucking dude. I never heard any of these pickup artists. It's like you see these gumps just popping up out of nowhere, and you're like, you're telling me this dude slept with over 100 chicks? I'm calling bullshit. I'm saying that dude didn't sleep with fucking no woman until he was probably 25, and that's when he lost his virginity. He's a lying motherfucker, and he's trying to convince you some shit that never happened. And he's a good liar, and that maybe
that's the whole.
Him. That is the whole point of the game. Is you're a liar, you're fake, you're pretending. You can watch that show, How I Met Your Mother, as to see what Rosh V wants you to pretend to be like if you want to get pussy, is making up all these different schemes to try to convince women that this shit's true. And most of this shit, the schemes that Barney would pull, would only work on a chick if she's drunk and really dumb. So, or she's drunk and she's horny and she doesn't really give a shit about your lies and just wants to make that up as an excuse that, oh, well, I thought he really was an astronaut or some fucking ridiculous shit like that, So,
well, I think that's what defines our time right now, is that just the lies, or who's the best liar, because everyone is inauthentic and everybody's just projecting in a I think back to like hipster scenes, and it is just who's the who demonstrates their capacity to get as much attention in the most unique way or whatever. It's like pretty much that's what the what people are looking for in the younger, when you're young, like in like bar scenes, and like there's music, like it's pretty much everybody. I remember when growing up, everybody identified with what music they listened to, and like that was the youth culture. So I mean, if you were in a band that everybody liked, then obviously then you were the top of the stack, and you were gonna select for the best chick, like the best girl that came there, because
well, I mean, you were selected for the hottest chick. You weren't selected for the best. She could have been fucking awesome, and cooking and cleaning and everything else, but you were just interested in what she looked like, and if she was the hottest chick, that's the one you took home, or and if she was any good in bed, you kept her around, and if she wasn't, you kicked her to the curb and found the next one. And even if she was good in bed, you might have kicked her to the curb because the next one came to the next show, and you were like, hey, beat it, bitch, I got shit to do, or oh, hey, sorry, don't come to the show tonight, we're not having it, or whatever excuse that local rock star might make to blow off his fucking old lady and shit.
Yeah, well, it's all inauthentic, because you're pretty much doing it for everybody else. Like, you want just everyone to see you with the hottest chick. It's not even having the chick.
Here's a good example of this. I watched this shit. I don't pay for fucking Netflix, so don't start freaking out there, spurgers. I actually, I download. I don't download. I stream through an app, and I won't name it, but I ain't paying the Jew shit. So the point is I watched this Netflix show called The Dirt, and it was about Motley Crue. And once again, I just want to say, well, I don't want to keep repeating that because you might end up getting sued or something. But anyways, the point is the fucking Netflix show, or not the Netflix, sorry, the Motley Crue story. It was called The Dirt, right? And it showed what's his face, the fucking singer Vince Neil. He's like, yeah, I just got into fucking a band so I could get chicks, so I can get some pussy. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like what probably 90% of fucking dudes do get into a band for is the chicks and fucking get famous and make lots of money. And
that's all you do up until like you're 30. That's like pretty much everything that you like. Most people do, anyways.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, that's the reason why they have all those inauthentic people. That's the reason why I have so many people that are, always, being fake and projecting their own different image, because it's what's going to get you, the women. It's what's going to get you laid. It's what's going to fucking get you the most prestige. And that's obviously what guys do it for. And I mean, I've never really been like that. I've always been like, I've been fucking a raceless since I was 17 years old. So for me, that shit was never really a factor. I mean, I still would go out to the bar and talk to women and do that stuff and just be me. I mean, I'm sure I could have been a hell of a lot more successful if I wanted to be some fake motherfucker and pretended like all this other shit. But, I mean, I learned quickly that I wasn't going to sit there and just start screaming about my politics as soon as I met him. Like, hey, you got some area-looking features there, girlie. You want to come back to my house and we'll, make some Aryan babies together or something, or, I mean, I never said no shit like that. Like, oh, hey, you got some good old dick sucking lips. Why don't we go put them to use back at my house or something? I mean,
I like the girls in the like the alt-right scene because they actually like speak to that. So like they're on board, or like they know what to say to get the attention from guys. Like like I'm gonna make Aryan babies, or or the trad thought phenomenon.
Oh Jesus! Stop calling it fucking thoughts, dude. We're not niggers.
I don't know. That's
just all you gotta do is be like the chicks that are pretending to be like traditionalist type chicks, and in reality they're just some fucking.
And then they produce media until they're like 27 and never start a family.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Lauren Southern, she left, she's gone. But this Brittany Pettibone, she's getting married to Martin Sellner. They're going to have a family. So I really don't go with that whole trad dot shit. Oh, they're putting out media, so they must not be having kids and a baby. I mean, how hard is it to fucking do this shit? I mean, yeah, it does take up time. But let's face it, like Lana does this shit on a fucking weekly basis, and they actually, her and Henrik, like literally, this is their job, is doing YouTube and stuff like that, and the alternative media. So the reality is not that fucking difficult. They could still have a relationship with a man. They could still be married. They could still raise their kids. There's other examples. There's the wife with a purpose bride. She's got like 5 or 6 kids, and she does this. There's nothing hard for me to turn on this camera and start discussing important topics. So to me, the whole trad thing, that's just some stupid shit that England was going on about because he was jealous these broads were getting more views on YouTube, and he's a dwarfish little fucking Uber, or not Uber, sorry. He's like a dwarfish little Untermensch running around wishing he was an Aryan, so he goes around fucking, basically, I mean, that's the reason why he was so obsessed with Taylor Swift, she was exactly the kind of chick he'd never be able to date in real life. That's why he went to the Philippines to go start banging these fucking broads over there, because he couldn't manage to find a fucking white chick at home. It's like, how the fuck did that happen? You were a wigger back then. Dude was a fucking wigger. He shouldn't have had no problem fucking finding some fucking white chick that was like listening to rap but didn't want to actually fuck black guys, because this was back in the early 2000s where it was still a lot more taboo. So she'd have been like, oh, you're perfect. You're the wigger. I need to fuck before I make that step to the Mexican, and then from the Mexican down to the black guy, right? So that's he should have been able to get laid. He was just a fucking gump his entire life, dude. He was an ugly gump. He couldn't get no pussy. He was a dork, so he went to the Philippines, and then he came back. He tried convincing all these people in the National Socialist and pro-white circles that, oh, you need to fucking pursue Asian women, and don't worry about these white chicks. They're all stuck up, and they all hate white men and all this, that, and the other. I mean, I'm not saying that there ain't plenty of fucked up feminist women or women that have been fucking corrupted by feminism, but the vast majority of white women are still more interested in white men and more interested in men that actually act like men, even if they don't say it out loud. Plenty of them, that's their, their actual real feelings about the shit. I mean, that's the one thing I'll say about Rouge V that's correct is he does know that women really do want a man that acts like a fucking man, not some pansy ass fucking little beta male feminist faggot, you know.
Yeah, I think it's more of a meme. The whole trad girl thing is that they you know they're showing off their legs and their asses, and then they're talking about like, you know, making cookies, and it's like the Brittany Ventees, or you know, the Lauren Southerns who actually did sleep with the other dude. But that's besides.
But Brittany, well, that Brittany Ventney was never some traditionalist chick. I remember her ever talking about and two, she wasn't even white, so who gives a fuck what she does? She was some half black bitch, you know. And then you got, I mean, like, I don't know what the fuck's up with this alt-right fucking their 2.0 circles that you guys got with fucking people chasing after fucking trainees, like what's that one, Blair fucking White, and the fucking fucking Brittany Venti, and then you got some fucking, I don't know if it was a nigger or gook on some other stream with some dude that does a show with Richard Spencer, and then you had some decent looking white chick that was on a stream with him and was talking about she had some fucking gook husband and how he was some kind of alpha male, high testosterone guy because he had some fucking corporate job. He was a high-powered corporate guy, and it's like, oh, wow, middle management in corporate America. That's real fucking power. That's some real alpha maleness there, bitch. It's like, the fuck out of here with that shit.
I don't know why people are really pushing the Asian. There is like the Hapa like thing. I don't understand why they're you know, they're so into. I think it's because they can't, like you said, like they haven't been able to land a actual white girl, so they shit talk like white girls are all fat or whatever. Like, no, just the ones that are accessible to you, that are unappealing. But so they go for like the Asian girls and stuff like that. But yeah, it's you know. There's a lot of
it's because it's easier. That's why they go for it. It's fucking easier. And I mean, I understand their frustration, but that doesn't mean you give up on your own kind. I mean, and especially
I live in this culture too. I understand it. But
I'm not going to endorse it. I'm not going to fucking give you a stamp or a pass because you were having a hard time fighting a white girl. Well, maybe you should look a little harder, further out in your search. You might have to start going further than just inside your 30, 40-mile radius. You might have to start looking further out. I mean, hell, you might even have to go to some other fucking country like Brittany Pettibone did. She went in fucking Austria to find her, man. Now, admittedly, she didn't have to go that far, but I think it's because she ran away after that whole debacle she had with the base stick man dude that everybody was talking about, and she decided to address. Oh, God, I watched that. It was so funny. She's like, I'm a good Catholic girl. I would never do anything wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's like the fucking, what are you talking about? Like, if you're telling me you're a good Catholic girl, in my mind, I'm thinking, you're just saying you admitted you're a slut. You know, you're like some kind of, you know what I mean? Like, good Catholic girl. Fuck, what are you talking about, dude? Come on, man. That's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how many Catholic girls I've been with that, like, were some of the fucking, I don't know, kikiest, freakiest, you know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, they were out there, and good Catholic girls, I don't know. You know, they're the ones that seem to suppress their sexuality the most and end up being the most aggressive and promiscuous when it comes to the reality. So when she said that, I just laughed like, oh, that's really convincing them. You should have just not even talked about it. You should just ignored it and been like, fuck that dude. He's an idiot, you know, but she kept going on about it, and that's when she went out into another country. I guess she figured her reputation was damaged so bad here, she had to go somewhere else. But you know what I'm saying. I mean, I don't want to talk too much shit about this, bro, because I don't know anything actually happened. It just seemed to me awful fucking suspicious, you know, that she was wearing this motherfucker's sweater and everything else. I was just like, yeah, dude, I'm sorry. This looks like you're totally fucking that guy. If you're not, you definitely have got every guy out there that's seen these pictures definitely convinced that you're fucking with this guy. You know what I mean?
There's something with the Catholic girl thing that, you know, is just such a stereotype that I think there is something going on. Like they definitely they indoctrinated those girls. Like the whole system was almost like kind of covertly set up to turn them into like these like sex pots. I don't know, but
right? But I guess. I mean, because it does seem like a lot of them that I've met that are these Catholics girls or went to Catholic schools and shit like that are all types of fucking,
I think
you know.
I mean, I think of, I go like into Christianity and stuff, and I do think that Christianity is completely invented or, fabricated by Jews with the intent to subvert Aryans, like, wholesale, and,
Yeah.
put it monks and nuns. Like, what are you doing? It's like, that's totally anti against,
Yeah,
the
it's
natural.
anti-nature. it's
I mean,
it's against your natural instinct to procreate, to have children by. Oh
yeah,
yeah, you got to swear off a life of God. You're gonna marry some, you marry your fucking God and shit. And it's like, okay,
yeah,
well, I mean, I don't know that there wasn't. I had heard that there was like what they call like Vestal virgins back in Greece, where they would be. Sacred to the gods and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't think they were that way their entire life. I think I might be wrong. Maybe I am. But I know even if it wasn't like the nuns and the monks where there was like, hundreds of thousands of them. It was like probably like very, very select few that would actually be like that. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know it was a very tiny amount of people. So
yeah. Yeah, it's unnatural. It's mess. It's not right. But if you can't find a the ideal wife or white woman that is that you could marry and settle down with in your old age, then what you got to do is just expand your reach or improve. Like that should be your sign to, like, speaking to everybody, like, in closing, I guess, is that what you should be doing is like the ideal. I remember going through I came out of conspiracy and then I went into libertarianism. And well, I mean, before that, I was in the drug culture, or like
yeah,
Terrence McKenna and like Timothy Leary and all that shit. And then
yeah,
I listened to Red Ice, like when they were talking about guys transporting to Mars and like all this kind of fantastical stuff, and then the aliens and all this shit. And and then I was with like Molyneux and Cantwell, like through libertarianism, and I settled on white identity and traditionalism, and like that's like that's why everything is fucked up right now, is because we lost all that stuff. And if you're going to improve everyone, you should start with yourself. Like I think of the alt-right, or whatever you want to call it, the white nationalist, the white identitarian movement, as a sort of network of men, specifically, and a like a mystery cult kind of thing. Not a
yeah.
mystery cult is the wrong word. What is it? Mystery school. Because we do have the red pills or whatever, the awakening or whatever, and at the end of it is your like destiny. So like
Yeah.
as like racial, as like an actual human being, spiritually, and like the whole like encompassing kind of like a worldview. And if you're gonna improve, if you're going to save what we have and like move forward, then you're going to improve yourself, and you're going to attain that white and have white babies. And yeah, I don't know, like I think the whole culture of inauthenticity and demoralization of white men is like needs to be deconstructed and be fought against. And like that's what we're pretty much doing. Like I think that's like the whole purpose of this movement. I'm actually I want to write a book called Grassroots Fascism,
Yeah.
and it's just like like there's such a market for self-improvement. I've been listening to a guy named Grant Cardone, and he's just like like a coach. He's just like a life coach in like an audiobook, and he like writes books, and his whole thing is like 10x. You got to 10 times your your productivity or whatever, and like just go at it, and like and like learn from your failures, and like all this kind of stuff that you would naturally do if you were if like people had actual fathers that would serve as good role models, and we had good examples like in the society and everything, you know
Yeah.
like examples of success and everything, and just learning from your failures, and continuing on because you have goals. So, like the big thing is like write down your goals and like have them. And we got to do that as white men, because as like libertarianism, the market for self-improvement is a white man thing because we have so much opposition against us. So
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I mean, I think you got a good point, and I believe you're right. It is something that you should do a journey there, like you said. If you're out there trying to find your potential partner and stuff like that, and you're not finding her, then yeah, you should definitely look on trying to improve yourself, and that right there is going to help a lot. You know, I mean, it's doing physical improvement is definitely good, especially if you're a young man, because if you're really young, you're probably not going to have the kind of, you're not likely to have the financial aspect of things to where you're going to be able to say, hey, look, I got all this, I'm doing well and I have this money. You can come, live with me and I'll take care of us and our family and we'll have 5 children and all this other shit. But you can improve on your looks and your personality and stuff like that when you're really young. And then obviously when you get older, you pick up more skills and you don't have to necessarily go to like a 4-year college or university. You don't have to get a master's or PhD. I'm not saying if you want to, I encourage you to do that, but you don't have to. And if you are in school doing that stuff, you should be going to the gym while you're in school. What the hell else you got to do? Oh, sleep all day? Well, even if you do sleep all day, after you're done with classes, go hit the fucking gym for fuck's sakes. You have one right there that if you live on campus, it's going to be within walking distance easily to that. I mean, there's no excuse. You're going to
you read and lift and do like whatever like your thing is like your obsession is like during the day, then you will have enough time in the day because you will need less sleep. Like if you lift, then you will like like just exercising it like alone will give you the energy to like go to the next thing. Like not inactivity is the problem, or like not having anything to do is the problem, because that's when you like sleep more, and then sleeping feels good, and then you just you end up sleeping like 10 hours, and then you take a nap in the middle of the day. Like you only need like at most 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I mean, that's true. I mean, I probably, to be honest, I usually sleep about 5 or 6 hours a night. But it's, I mean, you probably should try to sleep 6 to 8, to be honest, for a healthy amount of sleep, especially when you're working out to build muscle. But if you can get 6, I'd say if you're getting 6 hours sleep, that's enough, because you got other shit to do in life. You got to make things move. You got to try getting the stuff going and working to get things happening. But you're right about that. And well, I guess what my point was is if you're going to college, it's easy. You got a gym there. You probably won't even have to pay for it. It'll be part of your membership dues, or you'll be able to go for free. You just take one physical education class, so you can go to the gym where it's paid for as part of your college. And then after you get the physical education class, you'll be free to go to the gym all the time. So I know I did it when I was in college. So it's easy to do. So I would suggest everybody that's in college, you can do it. Go do it. Sign up for your physical ed so you can take the gym classes and have the gym the rest of the 4 years that you're in school for. And for those of you who don't want to waste, I mean, I don't want to call it a waste, but let's say that you're not somebody that wants to go to college and get a degree in something that may or may not be an actual useful skill when you get out. Say you're like, Richard Spencer, he was a history major. If he wouldn't have been writing for Tacky Magazine and some of them other like conservative magazines before he started his own website, I doubt he would have got the funding and money he needed and everything else. Plus his parents are rich, whatever. But we're not going to get into that. The point is
connections. Yeah.
The point is he had got some good connections, was able to make some money doing that. So if you get a history degree because it's your passion and you love it and you enjoy history and that's your thing, well, that history degree is probably not going to equate into much unless you're going to get a job teaching in a school or, getting a job at a university, or you write some books and they become bestsellers, which good luck with that. It might happen, it might not, but that's a fucking crapshoot. So my point is if you're thinking maybe college isn't the way to go because you're not going to actually be able to make any money off it, you'll be saddled with tons of debt, and you're going to be fed a bunch of SJW bullshit, and you get so fucking fed up with it that you just quit going to school and say, fuck you, I'm tired of this anti-white garbage. then I would suggest going to a trade school, getting into some trades like, you can become an electrician, a maintenance mechanic, a machinist, a welder. I mean, Christ, welders, you can do like a 9-week welding course and get a job at most places. They're looking for welders because they will teach you to keep welding, and that's a good paying job. And on top of the fact, it pays good money, but if you really want to make really good money, you can always get certified to be a deep sea diving welder where you're going to make, 6 figures, literally make over $100,000 a year doing that shit. So there is other things out there where you can start making that money to build that future, to buy that property and that land for your family and for your kin, and maybe you start your own tribe or whatever. Or we can all pull together and start buying land and start a tribe, stuff like that in your own community. You can do stuff. People are doing this now as we speak. So do everything you can to improve yourself physically, financially, and all that stuff. Do everything. Just try to be there as possible. Worry about yourself more so than everything else that's going on around you, but don't ignore what's happening around you. But, definitely focus more on you and improving yourself than shit that you can't actually fix on the outside. So the more you improve on yourself, the more that you show you actually give a shit about what yourself, then that's going to help bring in these women for you, and it'll make it easier for you to find a woman. So that's my advice. And your website, I went and looked on that Etsy thing, and I got a thing that was telling me that they couldn't find it. So I don't know if they took down your book already or what.
Oh, it should be Etsy.com/shop/refractor IND.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah,
I
the
should have put
link.
IND at the end there.
Yeah, you didn't give me the right link. I got it in the chat, and nobody can see it. All right. Hey, all right, Jesse. Send me that link again, and I'll put it in the video at the end of it so people can look it up. All
Yeah.
right.
I mean, first off, I got pretty spindly arms compared to a Mark Davis, but even if you got 30-pound weights, that's what I do. I mean, it's something.
It's
And
something.
I would suggest, the most important thing that we have to create right now is a network of guys and like groups. I was part of a pool party thing. Someone, I think Blake mentioned like a Keystone group somewhere here in Pennsylvania or whatever, but that, because it's an online movement and everything right now. But you do need guys around you. Like one of the big things about like these books, like the self-help books or everything, is just like if you got toxic people in your life or telling you can't do it, you can't like improve, you can't like whatever, then what you got to do is you got to find different people. And that's
that's true.
And Jordan Peterson will tell you got to do it by yourself and pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, but you can't. You got to have other people. And I would suggest don't go to college. Unless you want to be a lawyer or whatever, and your ideological or your mindset is pretty much formed, and I don't see how that's possible. Well, I guess if you've consumed media over the years and you've developed your own sort of concrete understanding of these things, then you could weather the storm or go to college and be impervious to like the bullshit. But I would suggest people find their passion or whatever, like what you're obsessed about, and then go and go into a trade like you said, like do a trade that you can make money off of. Like if you go into a utility or a construction, or something like that, arborism even, those are always needed, and you're making money. So you're working, and then when you get home, you're reading and doing your thing. And like I would suggest that. I wish I had done that instead of just like fucking working retail. And all, or bussing tables. Like fuck all that shit. Fuck all the service industry stuff.
I totally agree with you on the service industry stuff. I mean, you might have to start out on it though. That's if you're young and you don't have any other experience, it might be what you're stuck with. But I mean, honestly, I would attempt, if I was you, to get into, like you said, concrete, carpentry, one of those trades. The welding class is excellent. Another excellent one. Like I said, you can become a certified welder probably within 10 weeks. And there's all types of, like here in Wisconsin, they have these boot camps that they do all the time for welding and shit, where it's like a 9-week course that if you're poor, that they will basically give it to you for free because you can qualify because you're poor and shit. So if it was me, that's what I would do. But like I said, you might have, you might be some genius level IQ person out there, and if you are, then hey, why not go out there and see if you can find some, be a lawyer or be a doctor or something that will actually be worthwhile to us. You can be an engineer too. I mean, you don't have to be some kind of lawyer. You could be a mechanical engineer, an electrical engineer, all types of different things that are in the STEM, in science, technology, and stuff like that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
if you can do science, what is it? Science, technology, engineering, math. What's the T stand for? What the hell does the T stand for then? Is
Science.
it technology? Okay, yeah, and he must be engineering. So yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, if you you have that in you and you're that good, then
Just
I
don't
would
be a
say
don't be a racially masochistic faggot.
yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure if you're watching my show, you're already not. So yeah, unless of course you're one of the commies from Vice or whatever fucking gay ass new organization is that spies on my shows. If you're one of those homos, then fuck you anyways, and eat a dick, faggot. I hope you die of AIDS real soon. So, but other than that, other than that, other people that are watching clearly and will be listening when I upload it to the website. Um, Other than that, you guys, if you have it and if that's your drive, your passion, whatever, if that's what you want to do with life, I'm going to be an engineer, I'm going to be a scientist or whatever, I'd say go for it. Or even if you would like, fuck it, I want to be a historian because I'm passionate about my people and I'm passionate about our history and stuff like that. I'd say go for it. I mean, your chances of actually getting a job in that field and being able to do it is probably not going to happen because they only want people that are going to give the PC version of history nowadays. They're obviously replacing our statues because they want to replace us. So they're tearing down everything and doing 1984 style all across the United States. But they're wanting to throw our ancestors and all our accomplishments down the memory hole. So, that's, I don't know. If you haven't read 1984, please do. So I don't, I think that is, something that everybody should read. I don't care what you think of George Orwell. It was a very good book, and it seemed to be pretty prophetic about what the future is because he obviously got to see it. I believe he was involved with the Communist Party possibly, and that's how he got to really see what the future is going to look like and what it could be. So I put the link to your Clowns of the Apocalypse comic book, so you guys check it out. Buy a couple copies and hand it out at a local comic book store, or just hand it out at the college and trigger some fucking lefty commie faggots. And there you go. All right, so you got any final thoughts you want to put on there or no?
I have a book recommendation that I just like to throw out there.
Okay.
Read Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. It's the best Western, and it's red pilled, also.
Right. Well, there you go.
But thank you for very, very much for having me on, Mark. It was good.
No problem, brother. I'm gonna fucking like I said, I'll have you on again. I thought we were gonna have a couple other guests pop in with us too, but that's okay. I think we had a pretty good, long, productive conversation. I'm hoping people will enjoy, like it, share, fucking subscribe to the channel, share it, like it, spread it around, let other people see it, let these other guys figure out what to, so he can make some more comics for you guys and we can spread it out. Because, I mean, hell, I'd say you can hand this out at the high school and the junior highs and shit like that too. Just give them a chance to start red pilling them while they're young. So, all right, everybody. It's been another week's episode of the Wolfpack. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys all next week. 1488, brothers and sisters. And thank you once again, Dillard, for being on the show. And I appreciate it, brother.
Hail victory.
All right.